Winston Churchill was ever in the van of those men who sought a better world, a world of freedom and human dignity where tyranny and oppression did not exist. This man of the century was born at Blenheim Castle, and the first lusty cries of the future statesman were heard here. As befitting a descendant of the Duke of Marlborough, he was to be a soldier, but instead became a correspondent in the Boer War. Captured, he escaped and always regretted the small price put on his head. Elected to Parliament in 1900, he became First Lord of the Admiralty in World War I. A great figure had stepped on the world stage. As First Lord, he revitalized the British fleet, and in his dual capacity as Minister of Munitions, he helped develop the tank. He was in and out of office between the two world wars, but never out of the hearts of his countrymen. He received many honorary degrees, topping off dignified affairs by roughhousing with students. Then came the shame of Hitler. A great voice was heard again.
And with the British Empire around us, we shall fight on, unconquerable, until the curse of Hitler is lifted from the brows of men. We are sure that in the end, all will be well.
The British stood fast behind their leader. They took every horror Hitler's Luftwaffe could inflict and raised bloody fingers in V for victory salutes. He crossed the ocean many times to confer with President Franklin Roosevelt, and the two leaders inspired free men to renewed efforts against the forces of evil. The Four Freedoms became a charter of democracy and spirit. When the Nazis under Rommel were driven from North Africa, Churchill was on the scene with words of inspiration and encouragement for the troops, with new promises of a victory complete and total. The beachheads in Normandy were no sooner secured than the Prime Minister followed the troops. A tactician of no mean ability, he conferred with Supreme Commander Eisenhower in the field. As the Allied armies fanned out over Europe, he joined with an armored unit to cross the Rhine. Then victory. When Paris was liberated, the architect of victory rode in triumph up the Champs-Élysées. To a man with Churchill's sense of history, this was his finest hour. Then unconditional surrender of the Germans, and he stood proudly beside his king, truly a man of destiny. He was Prime Minister again when he celebrated his 80th birthday with his beloved Clementine. Now Sir Winston, a Nobel Prize winner, he was host to Queen Elizabeth at number 10 Downing Street before relinquishing his seat in Parliament and retiring to his home at Hyde Park Gate. He was confined unwillingly to Middlesex Hospital when he was 87. He looked upon the concern for his broken hip as stuff and nonsense. He was the personification of John Bull himself. In his sunset years, Sir Winston was confined to his home, but through his writings and his many immortal phrases, the name Churchill continues to ring down the corridors of time. We, here and now, were privileged to know greatness. Shattered homes and wreckage marked the site of a disaster from the skies. 23 neighborhood residents in northeast Wichita and 7 crewmen died when a tanker plane crashed shortly after takeoff. The plane was reported in trouble just after leaving its base. It attempted to dump its fuel load, but within 2 minutes of takeoff, it was a flaming torch with fuel engulfing 11 homes. 10 children were among the 23 civilians dead. A family of 5 was wiped out. The homes of 200 people were either destroyed or damaged. It was many hours before an accurate tally of fatalities could be made. Authorities expressed amazement that the toll wasn't greater. Many seemed to have escaped even injury by some queer stroke of fate. Just what caused the huge tanker plane to crash may never be known. Ignore the snow and sleet. They're hoisting the fair weather signals in New York. Why not? The boat show is open, and when these craft are berthed, you can ignore winter for a few hours and bask in the warmth of your imagination. They expect record crowds again this year, for the number of weekend sailors grows each season. There's something for everyone, too. You can spend $70,000 for a cruiser or $100 for a folding boat. Remember, they both have something in common. They both float. If you prefer that sinking feeling, here's a new one-man submarine for those who seek new frontiers beneath the water. Boating is a recreation for all ages. There's no need to leave anyone behind when you chart your course on lake or sea. If you don't find a boat to your liking here, it means only one thing: they haven't built it yet.